everyone. So today we're going to be making these wonderful sunflowers. These are actually puff stitch sunflowers, as you can see. So we have a white and black one right there. We have a beautiful pink and green one here. We have the regular sunflower, as you can see here, and this is the one that I'll be doing the tutorial in. And then of course we have this one here as well. So you can make as many of these as you want, and then as you make them, enjoy, give them to people, add a little keychain on them, and then yeah, just enjoy making sunflowers. I really hope you love this tutorial, and if you do, give this a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you so much. See you in the next one. Okay, so in order to make these beautiful puff sunflower keychains, what we're going to need is some 4-ply cotton yarn. Then we're also going to be using a 1.9mm hook, as you can see here. This is just a very basic hook that we're going to be using, a cutter, and a little needle. So that's all you need to make these. Alright, let us get started. So here I'm going to be using 4-ply cotton yarn, and all I'm going to do here is just start with a magic ring, as you can see. So here's the magic ring. We're going to continue making that magic ring. If you don't know how to make a magic ring, just go check out my lesson video on how to make that magic ring. And then at this point, we are going to make what's known as a puff stitch, and we're going to make 10 of these puff stitches. So in order to make a puff stitch, what you want to do is you want to wrap the yarn, insert the hook into the magic ring, pull the yarn through, and lift it up just slightly. And now we have 3 loops on the hook. 1, 2, 3 right there. Now what we're going to do is wrap the yarn again, insert the hook into the magic ring, and pull the yarn through again and lift it up just a little bit as well. This will make it easier to pull the yarn through all of these loops towards the end. Now we actually have 5 loops on the hook. Now we wrap the yarn again, we insert the hook through the magic ring, we pull out the yarn, or we pull the yarn through, and now we actually have 7 loops on the hook. And this is the point at which we're going to pull the yarn through all 7 loops on the hook. Now I'm not going to mention whether this is yarn over, yarn under. I think that's all up to you, but if you want to learn more about that, check out my lesson 4 video on single crochet stitches. So I'm going to pull the yarn through all 7 loops that were on the hook, just like so. That actually worked out to be nice and easy right there. And then I will chain 1 just to have these puff stitches nice and neatly together, like so. So there we go. Now we have to do this another 9 times to complete a total of 10 puff stitches. So I'll take you through one more. Now I'm going to wrap the yarn, pull the yarn through, wrap the yarn, and pull the yarn through. Lift it up a little bit, again, always lifting it up just a little bit. Then we wrap the yarn and pull the yarn through. That's the 3rd time that I've wrapped the yarn, and so now we can pull the yarn through all loops on the hook, including that chain space. And then I will just chain 1 to complete that. There we go. So that's what we will be repeating over and over again. So again, another puff stitch. We're going to wrap the yarn, pull the yarn through, wrap the yarn, pull the yarn through, lift it up, wrap the yarn and pull the yarn through. There we go. We have all the loops on the hook. Pull the yarn through all loops, including that chain stitch right there, and chain 1 just to finish that off. There we go. So now we have created 3 puff stitches right here. And it's at this point that we are going to continue making these puff stitches until we get a total of 10 puff stitches inside our magic ring. So I'll let you guys, you can, I guess, pause the video and continue making these puff stitches, and then come back when you've made your 10, and then we can finish the next part together. So let us do that now. that is the 10th puff stitch that we have created. So look at that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So at this point we're going to pull the yarn tail. Don't pull it too tightly because you don't want to snap the yarn, but you just want to pull it, and you will have a little bit of a donut shaped hole in the middle there. And now at this point all you want to do is connect to that very first stitch and finish with a slip stitch right here. Okay, and that's it. And now you can pull the yarn through just slightly and cut the yarn right there. Now with these two yarn tails for this very first puff center of our sunflower, what you can do is weave in the yarn tail ends into here. And there we go, here's our first beautiful puff stitch center. So now what we will do is we're going to make another puff stitch center, but this time we will not cut the yarn. Alright, so I will see you back once you finish that second one, but remember, do not cut the yarn after your 10th puff stitch. And we're back. So we've just finished our 10th puff, my goodness, I keep getting that wrong. So we just finished our 10th puff stitch inside the magic ring, and we're going to pull the center of that magic ring as best as we can. Oh, what have we done here? There we go. Okay, so we've pulled it. Now again, don't pull it too tightly because you don't want to snap that yarn tail right there. Now before I make, actually no, what I will do at this point, and this is what you should do, is complete your slip stitch. So enter into the stitch, complete the slip stitch right there. And then you can, if you want to chain one, but it's not necessary. And just before we do that, I'm going to weave the yarn tail into the back just to hide it. And this is what I recommend you to do as well, because the thing is, you don't want your tail to be coming towards the center of your donut hole, and at the same time you want to secure that center too so that it doesn't pull apart once you have your puff stitch sunflower created. So I hope that makes sense. So we're just weaving it in there, pulling it a little tight, and then we cut off the excess right there. Okay, so the next part that we want after we've made two of these puff stitch centers is to connect them together, and you want the nice sides, so these would be considered the nice sides or the front sides, to be on the outsides as you're connecting it together. Now remember, we have a total of 20 stitches now, technically, because we had one chain between each puff stitch, right? So that means we have 20 stitches. And that means as we connect these together, we're going to end up with 20 stitches as well. Now the type of stitches that we're going to do is called a single crochet stitch. And this is exactly how you do it. Now I could either straight away insert my hook into this spot here, or you could chain one if you find that easier and then insert your hook into that very first stitch right there. I'm not going to chain one. I don't feel it's necessary at this point, and that is more than okay. So what we will do is I will grab this puff stitch center, I will turn it so that it's facing the outside, as you can see, and I will find the very top, remember where we had our yarn tail moved in just right there, and I'm going to go into the first stitch that I find that is right there as well. So here we go. I've inserted my hook into both of these stitches and having these facing the outside, and then what I will do at this point is I will grab the yarn and pull it through, and then just do a regular single crochet stitch. And we need to do this 20 times in total. So I'm inserting my hook again into the next stitch, and I will find my very next stitch here as well, enter into it. Oops, that's not the right stitch. There we go. Make sure we get into the right stitches, guys, as you move along. And then we will grab the yarn, pull it through, and finish with a single crochet stitch. So that is what we will do all the way around, and you want to end up with exactly 20 single crochet stitches as you go around. So let's do it one more time. I'm going to enter here. I'm also going to enter over here, which is the next front and back loop, stitch, and then pull the yarn through and make a single crochet stitch. One more, enter here the very next stitch, enter there the very next stitch. Just turn it around so that you can make sure you're entering through the front and back loops. As you do that, pull the yarn through and make your single crochet stitch right there. Last one before we speed things up, entering the hook between two of these stitches right there. Then we grab the yarn, as you can see, and make a single crochet stitch. So complete this a total of 20 times and we'll get back to each other at the end there. Alright, so there we have 20 single crochet stitches now, and now we're just going to enter into the very first stitch here, and then we will just perform a lovely little slip stitch to finish that off. And there we go. So now we have 20 single crochet stitches that have connected these puff stitches together, and that is the center of your sunflower puff stitch already complete. Well done. So this is the point now at which we grab our yellow yarn, and in my case I'm just making a regular sunflower, as in the colors of a sunflower, which is usually a brown or black center and then yellow for the petals, but you can make any color that you want. So here you can see I've done a green and vibrant pink color, I've got a white and black one, a peach and blue one. It's up to you what colors you decide to have your sunflower puff stitch, but I'm here in this example we're just doing the regular colors for a sunflower. Now as I attach the yellow yarn, I'm going to chain 2, so you can see that's 1 and there's 2, and you know what, I want to chain 3 just because this makes more sense, and let's keep consistent throughout this pattern. Then I will pull this brown a little bit tighter because we don't want to see that loop in the brown. At this point we are going to make puff stitches as well, but they're going to be slightly different and you will see exactly why. So we're going to wrap the yarn here and enter into this first single crochet stitch. Now make sure the yarn tails are over the hook so you can weave them in. And then I'm going to pull the yarn through that point. There you go. And we're going to repeat this again. Remember, it's a puff stitch. So I'm going into that same stitch. I've wrapped the yarn and I'm pulling the yarn through, and I want to pull it up a little bit as well. Always pull the yarn up to make it easier for yourselves later on. Wrap the yarn. This is the third time we've wrapped, and pull the yarn up just like so. Alright, so we've wrapped the yarn 3 times and pulled it up. Now instead of wrapping in this very next one, what we will do instead is enter into the next stitch, still have the yarn tails over the hook just like we've been doing, and pull the yarn through and lift it up just like that. Now we wrap the yarn, enter into that same stitch and pull the yarn through, lifting it up. And one more time, wrap the yarn into the same stitch, pull the yarn through and lift it up. There we go. So now at this point, all we're going to do is pull the yarn tail through every single one of those loops. You can see I'm struggling a little bit to get it through, and this is the importance of pulling up your yarn chain as best you can. So there we go. I'm finding it a lot easier that time. I kind of pull down here to get it through as well. At this point, I'm going to chain not once, not twice, but 3 times in total. And then we're going to do something that's called a picot stitch. Now a picot stitch is where you enter the hook, well in this case we're entering the hook into this space right here, this chain space that we've made. We enter the hook here, we pull the yarn through, and we're just going to slip stitch that in the very loop that was on our hooks. And there you can see we have a nice point in our sunflower petal. Now to finish this off, we want it symmetrical. We chain 3 on this side, so let's chain 3 on the other side. So 1, 2, and 3 chains, and then we enter into the very same stitch that we were last in, and then we pull the yarn through and make another slip stitch right there. And there you go, there is our very first sunflower petal. Let's do the second one together, and then I will leave you to it because it's just the same repeated pattern 10 times. So here we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. You always want the chains on the side of the petals just to give that texture, that beauty towards it. Okay, at this point we're going to make that slight variation of the puff stitch that we were doing. So we're entering to the very next single crochet stitch of the last round. Pull up the yarn just like that. We'll wrap again and pull up the yarn again. That's the second time we've done it. Wrap for the third time and pull the yarn up again. Now when we enter into the next stitch, we're not going to wrap for that first time. We're just going to pull the yarn through. And now we wrap once and then one last time. So this is wrapping the second time, pulling up as you do that. Now pull down here with your thumb and third finger. Pull down just a little to allow all of your yarn to go through all of those loops, and then make that slip stitch into the final loop. You might find that a little bit more tricky, so just work with it there. And at this point you chain not 1, not 2, but 3 chains right there. Then you insert your hook into this space and make a picot stitch. A picot stitch because you're forming that petal point. Now at this point you're going to chain 3 as you want to finish this, and then you enter your hook into that same stitch space over here and make finally a slip stitch. And notice how I turn my hook and my project a certain way to help me get that slip stitch. So that's what you should do as well. And there we go, there we have my second petal. Now I'm going to leave you to complete the rest of the 8 remaining petals, and then we will come back here maybe on our last petal together. All right, I'll leave you to it. You can do it. And as you can see here, we're up to our last or 10th puff stitch petal, and we've got 2 stitches here remaining. So this is perfect. This is why you want 20 in total, if that makes sense. So we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Finish this off here now. We'll do a quick wrap 1, pull up, wrap 1, pull up, wrap 1 and pull up. There we go. Insert into the next stitch, wrap and pull up, just pull up. Now we wrap, insert, pull up, and last one, wrap, insert, pull up. And as we're doing that, now we can pull the yarn tail through all of these, pulling as we do that. It will insert it into that last loop right there. Twist your yarn if you have to, twist your hook, and the orientation will help you with that. Chain 3. 1, 2, 3. We'll complete the petal with a quick picot stitch right there, and then we chain 3. 1, 2, 3 to complete our last and final slip stitch in the same stitch that we last entered into. So here's the slip stitch right here. There we go. And now we can just pull the yarn through. You don't have to pull it too much through, just a little bit of a tail there, because we're going to weave that into our sunflower to finish off this beautiful sunflower. You can pull it a little bit tight too. Now we already weaved these 2 yarn tail ends through a couple of the petals, so we can now chop the yarn here because we don't need it anymore, which is perfect. And now all that's left to do is just to weave in this one yellow yarn tail that we finished our wonderful petals with and crocheted the petals with. We'll just weave them through the back end of some of those petals just to finish off here. So I'm pulling this through right now. Boom, weave it all the way through, pull it just a little bit. Now I can pull it here, cut it at this point. Make sure you got nice sharp scissors as well to help you with that. And there we go. There is our wonderful puff stitch sunflower. Now the only thing that you can do, or what's left to do if you want to, is just to add a keychain, a lovely keychain at the top here. And if you don't want a keychain, you can also make a yarn chain. And a yarn chain is just where you insert maybe at this point and then do maybe like, let's say 60 chains, and then connect it back to this point with a slip stitch. tie it off, weave the yarn ends through, and then you've got a nice yarn tail here as well if you wanted to create that. But there you have it. There's your wonderful puff stitch sunflower, and I hope you love it. Enjoy making them for friends and family, and have a wonderful day. See you guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. You're amazing. Thanks. Bye.